So I think I was successful in posting my first blog pod chat thing yesterday, and I spent a number of hours afterwards listening to a number of the others that I'd found and thought were interesting, and listening to people's perspectives and reading their comments, especially to those posted by a few of the people that I knew and discovered when I found YouTube and their posts yesterday. It really got me thinking about my own past and experiences and where I've come from and how I got here, and I don't know, I just think it's kind of a funny journey that I've been on, but I think that's what life's all about, is a journey, and where we come from and where we go and how we get there and what we learn along the way. I don't think necessarily it's important which journey or which path we take, but about the journey itself. When I was a kid, I was baptized into the Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church, as a baby. And a few weeks later, after my father was out of town, I don't know, he went away on business or something, but my mother, my grandmother, and my great-grandmother, probably at the suggestions and promptings of my great-grandmother, took me to the Orthodox Church and had me rebaptized, because apparently the Catholic baptism I'd received wasn't valid or good enough. And over the years, I've thought a lot about that experience and how people's particular beliefs and thoughts around the type of baptism you receive, whether it's splashing of water on your head or on your bottom, or it's by immersion, whether it's by a priest, a minister, a reverend, spiritual guide, whatever. I don't know, I've just thought a lot about it. You know, and it's funny because shortly thereafter, I mean, I really don't have a great recollection of going to the Orthodox Church at all, but I did end up going back to the Catholic Church, probably because that's where the men in the family were faith-based, and so that's just sort of the way things happened. But later on, when I was a younger child, my mother decided to take me to what's called the United Church of Canada. It's basically a conglomeration of three Protestant sects, Methodist, Calvinist, one other. I can't recall what it's what it was, but it's a predominantly liberal, white, Anglo sect here in Canada. I think it's the second largest denomination, religious organization after the Catholic Church. But it was a loose organization. Very Christian-based, but allowed people to sort of express and study and live their lives how they felt best with teachings from the Bible. But comparatively to the Roman Catholic Church or the Orthodox Church, it was very not based in tradition or ritual or rites of passage and those types of things. I enjoyed it. I think the thing that I enjoyed most was actually singing. There was a woman, everyone called her Grandma Glad. Her name was Gladys, and she had polio, and she had these crazy crutches, but boy, could she sing. And I think I just loved going to church for that, because I love to sing. And to be honest, I think that's where my foundation and roots in music came from, was that I connected music to being one with myself and finding some sort of sense of revelation and at-one-ment and just sort of a sense of higher self. My mother, of course, was a gypsy soul, an artist and hippie, and we sort of just went to church when we went to church, and typically it was me that went to church, and she went off and did whatever she did, whether that was painting or smoking joints or picking apples or doing whatever she did. But we didn't do that a whole lot, and eventually I ended up moving back to Europe, and was living in Poland and Italy, and in those countries, being Catholic, you go to church. You go to Catholic church with your friends and family, and that's what you do to keep up with the Joneses. I moved to England and Wales for a period of time and went to the Anglican Church, and didn't really understand a whole lot of difference or see a lot of difference between the Catholics and the Anglicans, to be truthful. But that was my experience there. I returned to Canada and was pretty not involved in religion for a great period of time. My mother passed away when I was 9, and I was raised by my grandmother, who was well and unwell, quite frequently. And so between being here and being shuttled back to Europe and studying abroad and all of those types of things, religion and church just wasn't something that was part of my vocabulary or my lifestyle. However, when I was in my grade 12th grade, I went to Japan and was studying music and on a music tour. And while I was in Tokyo, ended up staying in a hostel in the Olympic Village with 4 or 5 other roommates, all of which happened to be Mormon of all things. And I'd never heard of the Mormon faith or the Mormon church, but I liked these guys. They were fun, they were free-spirited, they were good-hearted, they were just cool, good kids. And I liked their sense of family, how connected they were, the sense of community, and I was really drawn to that. So when I returned to Canada, I ended up requesting that missionaries come out and visit me. And for whatever reason, 2 sister missionaries were sent to me. I don't know whether they got their wires crossed, because typically elders teach boys and sisters teach girls, but I got 2 sister missionaries. And for whatever reason, they ended up teaching me all of the discussions, committed to me to be baptized, and I was baptized. Shortly thereafter, I decided I was going to apply to Brigham Young University in Provo, Utah, and go and be with my people. And so within a few months of being baptized, I had received a full vocal performance scholarship to study vocal performance pedagogy at Brigham Young University, and found myself living in Utah, 16 hours, 1,000 kilometers south of where I was living previously here in Canada. And that's where my Mormon experience started. So, yeah, there's part 1. I'll start part 2 here, and if you're interested, we can go from there.